Welcome, my 331 subscribers, fans of Joshi Wrestling, either the simp variety or the normal one, and confused Western fans who can't process what you're seeing just because your favorites are not there. Welcome to my review of Stardom Supreme Fight 2023. Let's begin. So before I'm going to talk about the show, I'm going to talk about Stardom World. This is their streaming service, and this has to be like the jankiest of all wrestling streaming services that I've used so far. Like from the start, upon logging in, you get this thing right here where you have to enter your birthday. But if you use like this like diagram where all the dates are at, it just enters like NAN-NAN-NAN. It's like an error. So the best way to fill this up is to just like type it in. Like type in the order of like the date. But I didn't know that the format was year, month, day. You have to search it on like Reddit in order to find that out. And after you've made your account, it's a bit confusing and it takes a bit of orientation in order to navigate Stardom World. I like that everything's sorted by year, but there has to be like a better way to present all of this. Like keep the per year sorting, but present it like this. Like in Wrestle Universe, there's like a big poster that presents all of the upcoming shows. Because in Stardom World, you don't know. You need to go to the website for that. And New Japan World has this like calendar of events. Wrestle Universe presents everything in order, as well as a trending now of all its biggest shows, biggest matches, biggest events. It has everything that's streamed live. And Stardom, it's just this. Wrestle Universe even has suggestions. And like all of the collections are just like neatly sorted out. I had to search Wikipedia to find out the Supreme Fight was gonna happen like the next day. And then there's no live streaming here. There are no pay-per-views as well. Like you're gonna have to buy the pay-per-views in another site. And you're gonna have to look that up. It's not on Stardom World. Like even the notice to like redirect you to this website right here. And I understand the delays in release. But wouldn't it be nice to have streaming, like live streaming? As a wrestling company in 2023, you should have live streaming. And another thing, when you click on the events, I like that they're sorted out, like per match. But wouldn't it be more convenient to have an option to watch it like continuously as a whole? Instead of having to like press back and then click each and every one of these? Like in Wrestle Universe. The perfect example of a wrestling streaming service, there are timestamps. And there are match listings, unlike in Stardom World. Although Wrestle Universe uploads them like a bit late sometimes. And then another thing that I don't like is that there's no like button beside the play button where it says like skip a number of seconds. You can't even like use your directional keys to skip like a couple of seconds, 30, 10, whatever. You're gonna have to click on the bar and estimate where you want to rewind is. But it's not all bad with Stardom World. The subtitles during promos are pretty unique. Like it's not really hard since they have delays before uploading the events, but no other company really does this. Like they don't re-edit the shows, or so I think. So yeah, go get Stardom, even though it's janky as hell, it's still worth it. It's a little bit cheaper than New Japan World, but maybe if enough people get it, enough people complain, maybe after a couple of years, after some bureaucracy, they're gonna make a change. So let's get to the actual show. So the first match of the show is the Naniwa Roulette match. It's a gauntlet match where the order of entry is decided by this pachinko-inspired roulette that plays on the Titantron with cool animations, even if there are literally 2 people left in the match. Like they have to do the animation, even when there are no more other options. It's a bit unnecessary and weird, but I guess it's nice since it gives the person who's currently in the match like time to rest. You can't just skip your entrance and attack the current contestant who's like tired and has been hit with like finisher after finisher throughout her time in this match. I actually hate gauntlet matches, like with a passion, since it favors the one to enter last like so much more than like a Royal Rumble, and much less so a casino battle royal. Like, it completely buries everyone that comes after the first person if the first person ends up winning. And it's not believable if there's this many competitors. But I think here, with the amount of rest a competitor gets, like in between matches, and the 5-minute time limit that leads to like a double elimination, if there's a draw, is a nice way to circumvent this. Because in American wrestling, the gauntlet matches can last like so long. Like, it would be unbelievable if like the new guy gets beaten by a dude who's been wrestling for like 15 minutes. And as for Stardom itself, as a watcher of Tokyo Joshi Pro, like, that's my first Joshi promotion that I followed since it comes with Wrestle Universe. You should get it. I was shocked by how serious everything is. There's still some simp-based stuff, but not as much as Tokyo Joshi Pro. Same with the cutesiness and the attires. Here, things are more serious. And I don't know if it's just me, but the women here are like so much better. Like, the mid-card here is as good as some, but not the top 3 of Tokyo Joshi Pro's main eventers. Or the top 4. So that's Shoko Nakajima, Yuka Sakazaki, Miyu Yamashita, and Miyu Watanabe. Stardom is the Joshi promotion that you can actually recommend your friends without being judged too much. Yeah, I like Tokyo Joshi Pro, but they're not there yet. Stardom is here, and it might be the best promotion in Japan. So let's get to the actual match. First up, we have Mayu Iwatani versus Waka Tsukiyama. So Mayu is the most overqualified person in the match, and you can really see why. Former Ring of Honor Women's Champion, multiple-time Stardom Champion, and just her performances in this match, holy shit, they were like above and beyond everyone. And arguably even some in the main card. Like, I would have rather watched anyone paired up against Mayu rather than the penultimate match. We'll get to that later. But first, Mayu is paired up against Waka Tsukiyama. So Waka understands how this match works by going for the kill right away. She applies this sick-looking, like, inverted gory special. But yeah, she takes control very early, attacks Mayu with her ass, and almost wins. Looks very strong here. Like, majority of that 5 minutes was hers. Because yeah, Mayu will be here for a long time. About like 7 matches. Mayu barely scrapes away the win. Dragon suplex, pin, 1, 2, 3. And these women, like, move like the dudes do. And sometimes even better. In any of the major promotions. And they easily compare with, like, the best women's wrestlers in the world. Like Asuka, like Charlotte. I think sometimes even better. I don't know how Mercedes Moné is gonna survive this. Like, speed of work. But yeah, there's no, like, diva awkwardness like we see in, like, the Western promotions. What I mean by that is, like Jade Cargill. Like that whole crew. Layla Gray. And yeah, a lot of the women's wrestlers who people look to with a lot of nostalgia. So yeah, Dragon suplex for the win. Mayu advances. So next is Momo Kogo, with full entrance to allow Mayu to rest. Like, Mayu gets more and more tired as the match goes on. Like, by the 5th or the 6th, she's just like on the floor taking a nap. And let me just talk about Mayu Iwatani. Her mastery around the ring is like, I think, second to none from what I've seen. She has the in-ring agility of like a Rey Mysterio and like a Shawn Michaels. But she does things like a Kota Ibushi or a Kenny Omega would do. So yeah, we have some actual tactics here. Not just like with Waka, who's just running around attacking people, trying to end the match right away. But I think that's tactics too. For this one, the match majority takes place on the apron. Mayu is invited to like step on the apron. They're starting off the match there. They have like an agreement. But shit, we get like 2 spot of the match like candidates right here, right away. One is much less and might not make the top 3. And it's like a kick that goes over the top rope, then the leg is drop kicked. The other one is the one I actually like sent people to convince them to watch Stardom. And it's the 619 where Mayu ducks out of the first one, and then like after a rebound thing, Kogo goes for another one, and then Mayu like does this arms out, lying down on the floor to dodge the next one. So Mayu wins the second match by technicaling her way into a stretch muffler. Mayu wins 2 straight. So after this is Miyu Amaski. So Miyu Amaski kind of reminds me of Raku from Tokyo Joshi Pro, the human birthday cake. But I don't know, she just moves better than like a lot of that roster. It's not me hating on Tokyo Joshi Pro, it's just like a fact. She's like green. You could see some of that like diva awkwardness. She might be the most women's wrestler out of all of them that I've seen in the show, aside from the Gaijins, of course. She has early control with some basic moves, just like some drop kicks. She's kind of a young lion, I think. Like, I'm not sure, but she moves like one. A lot of drop kicks. And a lot of like hesitation when running, unlike Mayu, who just goes all out and then delivers a sick drop kick of her own. Like a single-legged drop kick with no concern for how she lands. And this woman just Shawn Michaels sells everything. Like, have her appear once in AEW. Just once, please. But yeah, she didn't give Mayu the most trouble. We get like this elevated Dragon Sleeper for the win. Mayu wins phase 3 and she's out. She's just tired on the floor, and I miscounted. She's only there for 4 encounters. Well, that's nice because it doesn't bury her opponent after like drawing with her in the next round. And the next round is Tam Nakano, the woman that Kairi beat in like 5 minutes. In Wrestle Kingdom, that was such a disappointing match. Like, whose idea was that? To like have that match that short for your first women's championship. That's so dumb. New Japan can be so dumb at times. That's why I'm gonna like watch more Stardom. Like, AEW will still be the main, but Stardom's creeping up there, man. But yeah, they start the match with a high-speed exchange. You don't see this anywhere in the West. I think calling it an exchange would be inaccurate, on second thought, because Mayu's tired and Tam just kicks her ass. We have like a long like wait spot that takes too long, but they kind of like protect it well because Waka's there, Mayu's first opponent, who does a distraction for some reason. Like, why even? This kind of ruined this round for me. Just have them go for it. This causes Mayu to come back, and I assume this will start a feud between Tam and Waka, but I don't know. This one felt like a whole match for me. This isn't just like a highlight thing for Mayu's opponents who goes through her. It's not like a weird challenge thing. This one is them actually just kicking each other's ass. Or like, this isn't Mayu just slipping away with like wins. There's an evenly matched exchange. And so far, these two have the best delivery of moves. 2 full packages. The most impactful striking I've seen all night. For now. So finish is Mayu hits a dragon suplex, time limit reached, nobody wins. Both of them are eliminated. And I like that Tam doesn't sell as much as Mayu does. She's the first one to get up, as Mayu is lying in disappointment. But yeah, makes sense. Mayu's been there for longer, even if she did hit Tam with her finisher. What a great rule it is to have like a double elimination in gauntlet matches. Increases your sense of urgency and makes you go for your finishing stuff right away. Like, it could add in more tactics to a match, and I like it when that happens. So next is Mina Shirakawa versus Natsupoi. And oh my god, Mina Shirakawa. I liked a Joshi page on Facebook, so I've seen her before. And it's the weirdest shit because it's like 2 gaijins massaging her feet. So yeah, she's the foot massage girl, this one right here. She's the leader of Club Venus, but I think with all this buzz that this like foot massage thing is creating, this is a very simpy gimmick, a silly gimmick as well. Like, why not have her on the actual like main card that comes after this? She has an entire faction with her. Like, go for the trios titles or something. So Foot Girl is really good, but Natsupoi's on another level. She's kinda like Mayu Iwatani. Super fast. Like, she's the fastest wrestler so far. Actually, in the whole show. They don't actually have fast exchanges aside from here. Like, very effortless, gliding movement around the ring. Like this moment when she gets... what's Devon Dudley's finisher? The Saving Grace. and then she somehow turns it into a spinning powerbomb roll-up. Mina is more of a striker and a very like regular wrestler compared to everyone else. Her best moment in the match is this like combo with a spinning back fist. And what's with all the distractions with Waka? Waka, you lost. Get the fuck out of the ring. Or like the ringside area. Losers shouldn't be allowed near the ring for obvious reasons. You have them bitter from losing, so they're gonna try to sabotage the match. Just like what Waka's doing. Finish is a time limit draw where Natsupoi gets put in a figure 4 leg lock. Time limit ends. So this gauntlet has been very engaging to watch. I did not fall asleep. It's better than the Rambo. And like half of Wrestle Kingdom. Next is Mariah May versus Mai Sakurai. So Mariah May is one of Mina's feet massagers from Club Venus. She's a gaijin who's like the prototypical WWE women's wrestler. Blonde hair, blue eyes, very, very white. Tony Storm vibes too. I won't be surprised if she gets signed like anytime soon. It doesn't feel like she's a complete product yet. Isn't the best mover. But given her inexperience, she'll get better. So please, for the love of God, stay in Stardom until you're that complete product. She's better than Anna Jay at like the movement stuff. But the way she takes the moves, like kinda doesn't look natural a bit. Visible dives, unlike how Mayu does it. But in like giving the moves, she's really agile. A lot better than most in AEW. Even Tony Storm. And Saraya. The like diva awkwardness in movement is like slowly being filtered away. Mai is more of like a Maki Ito. Same type of like style in the actual wrestling, but without the charisma. Yeah, like she executes and takes the moves all right, but not there yet. May wins with a tombstone piledriver. Worst encounter so far in the gauntlet, but I'm seeing the potential in both women. So after this is Mariah May versus Thekla. So Thekla is Mariah May's like complete opposite. She's not like a bombshell. She's kind of tomboyish. She isn't the tallest, but I think she's the better wrestler. And like as an in-ring performer, she has like a higher ceiling than a May will ever have. It's like she has the personality and like the sort of appearance that would not really fit Wasteland War Party, but she would be their like small member. Because Wasteland War Party like look terrifying, by the way. And while in appearance, Thekla looks a bit more elegant. She can be like their scout, but she has the smile down to like be as intimidating as that team. So yeah, Thekla with Wasteland War Party would be cool. So yeah, I think the gear, the gimmick is awesome with Thekla. I saw the name Thekla and I thought this was like a Greek something. But no, she's like kind of Wasteland War Party-ish. She's German, and she's very good in the movement department. She moves like an upper Carter, like Tam Nakano, like Mayu Iwatani. Convincing striking, convincing taking of moves, but this whole like striking sequence here with all the spinny stuff, maybe not the best. I like that she wrestles like a parasite on the bigger wrestler. She like clings onto her with a submission move just like a parasite. What an awesome moveset this girl has. Like her best part of the match is this like leg choke where May ends up upside down on the rope. Some great work here from both women. The finish honestly did not need to be this painful for Thekla. May is pushed off of the apron and then she pulls off. Thekla lands on the apron, which is the hardest part of the ring, right in front of Mina Shirakawa. It looks like they continue to brawl. Lights go out next round. So next round is Momoka Hanazono versus Natsuko Tora. So this match was a bit sillier, it's a bit playful. Momoka looks like she would fit more in Tokyo Joshi Pro, while Natsuko Tora is like a monster, brawler type wrestler, and Ishii. So we have Ishii versus Yano pretty much Yano. Or like a Taguchi in this match. A lot of shenanigans happen to Tora's dismay. Tora's the butt of the joke the whole time. She plays along pretty well. Momoka does not get her comeuppance though. Top spot of the match is like an attempted German suplex off of the apron, followed by like an attempted Death Valley driver to the apron. Party popper to the face. They both fall down, but Tora takes an especially painful bump on the apron as she's squatting this like human. So yeah, the best way I can describe this encounter is like a Tom and Jerry. Tora just gets like embarrassed. She takes like the worst bumps, but it's all very funny. And speaking of funny, what comes after is Billy Ken Death against Yuna Mizumori. So this is the first time I've seen Billy Ken Death. And you can't search her on Google by searching Billy Ken Death. Instead, try Fukigen Death. And it's like a creepy clown gimmick. Real Dropsy vibes. I think the heel version of her looks better with the frown that's painted on her face. I think that suits this gimmick more. And just the smile is a lot less expressive than like this like frown and an open mouth in this picture. But yeah, she's a comedy wrestler, but I fucking love her shtick. First off, she enters in Public Domain Music, Symphony Number 9 by Antonin Dvorak, like a boss, not even fitting the gimmick at all. Like, maybe some creepy clown music would suit it a lot better. But hey, there's no more Walter. It's still being used by other people, but I guess no harm in using it with this character here. So yeah, her whole shtick is like doing the rock sign the whole time. I don't know if she does this like all the time in like 100% of matches, but if she does, it's really cool, but like a bit limiting. I think it's better when she does like the random shit like she does in the videos. And yeah, she's pretty much a wild card against anyone. There's an excuse on how she can win against like anyone in the roster. Her opponent is Yuna, who has this sort of like party girl, sort of rich girl sort of gimmick. Like, in my opinion, it does look that way. She comes in dressed like a supermodel, like plugging her love for pineapples. I don't understand this gimmick. It's dumb and it's jobber material. But I guess you have to like pay your dues. But not even her love for pineapples can save her for what happens shortly. So for this match, Yuna plays like sort of the fool. Again, she's still pretty green, still with the diva sort of awkwardness, but that'll get better with time. But what's awesome with her performance is she sells the mental torture that she's put on by Billy Ken Death. Like BKD ate her for breakfast. She just threw up the horns and visibly like showed all of the agony. She delivers some decent offense, but the crowd is never into her. She's rolled up, Billy Ken Death throws the horns and wins the match. Nice showing for Yuna. Potential's not really that high, but as a comedy wrestler, pretty good. Like, as a comedy wrestler, she's like a full package. As full as Billy Ken Death, maybe not. But yeah, after an unnecessarily hype or like overly animated roulette animation that's inspired by Pachinko, pull the lever. Like, why even do this? There's only one more competitor. So Saki Kashima is the last. For me, she's like a Yuki Kamifuku, Saki Akai, built like really skinny, but she's shorter. And she's not as good as Akai is. Or Kamifuku. But she's alright. She's not the one I would have picked as like the winner of this tournament, of this like gauntlet. But she's facing off against the wild card who can win and lose big or small matches. So I guess that's acceptable. So BKD tries like her horns on her. She tries the psychological warfare, but Saki's mental defenses are up. She has her scouted, and she manages to get like a roll-up win. She wins the gauntlet. Maybe the second worst encounter of the entire match. Yeah, this was pretty bad. That was topped by the announcement of the title that she's going to be challenging for. So first, I have to give props to the subtitles. Love the subtitles during the promos. But the title that she chooses to go for is the high-speed title. Like a third-tier belt. It's not exactly the All-Atlantic Championship. I think that's more of the SWA title. High-speed title is... feels like a junior's belt. Like, why even have this? And why not challenge for the world title? I mean, Saki does look like she's like a lower card wrestler, but at least try. Or you could go for the secondary title instead. But for a third to fourth tier belt, like why even? I mean, it's not as hard fought as like the people who came before her in the match. But you have a shot to go for Julia. And like in kayfabe, even if you know your place, in the card that you know you can't beat Julia at all, like you have zero chance, you might win, like a puncher's chance, and you'll be in like the main event of something. This is like a big plot hole for me. Like, why not go for the first or secondary titles? Like, do people just accept their inferiority? Or is it like an agreement made by the faction members? But if they're not in the same faction, why not go for the bigger belts? Yeah, but that's just me. So as a whole, I enjoyed this whole gauntlet a hell of a lot more than like the Cruiserweight Open, the Garcia Guevara gauntlet, which was terrible. All of the gauntlets that Roman Reigns went through. This is a TV undercard, pay-per-view undercard match. So after this is the Triangle Derby, or the Triangle Dabe. We have stars composed of Hazuki, Koguma, and Saya Ida versus Haruka Uesaki and Oedo Kai, composed of Ruaka and Starlight Kid. So this match is very like crowd worky. They did this for like the whole time. A lot of taunting, a lot of calling for cheers. It does work though. People were very into the match, and they incorporated it in the story of the match. So yeah, for me it's like Starlight Kid and everyone else. She's like the best performer, the more polished performer. The rest are a bunch of noobs. But like as performers, like not like just wrestlers, they were all really fun. So 4 out of the 6 wrestlers here were just like highlights. They just came in, got tagged in, did their stuff, tagged out. The 2 main characters here were Starlight Kid and Koguma, and they were like the catalysts of the match. So Koguma and Starlight Kid have like this battle in where they try to get the crowd on their side. Koguma wins. She's a great performer, but like movements, not the best. Starlight Kid is pretty much like another one of those Mayu Iwatanis, or like Natsupoi. Very fun to watch in the ring. As for Ruaka, she's like the greenest among the green. Most awkward movements, a bit immobile, but not as bad as Jade Cargill. She's still at the start of her career. She's like 18. Saya Ida is like a muscular, like tomboyish girl who reminds me of like a Jordan Grace or a Miyu Watanabe. And maybe a little bit of Jamie Hayter as well. Great execution of power moves as well as the selling. There's like this drop kick that's done by, I think, Haruka. And then Saya does like a full Peter Griffin. Overcommits the sell, and it actually looks pretty good. She's like turned inside out. Haruka is a bit more polished than the rest. She didn't get to show much, but she's like a pretty fast wrestler. There's potential there to be in the main event scene. Hizuki is like another complete package. I think just the look is missing. The wrestling gear, like, doesn't look like wrestling gear much. Just, like, get better gear and, like, do more than just, like, the steps. Very enthusiastic and motivated in the match, but just face washes. Like, that's all she did. Some good-looking face washes, but face washes all the same. The finish was surprisingly good. This is what puts this match over the next one. So yeah, finishing sequence is a high-speed pin exchange that I think is a spot of the match. And yeah, let's like consider the face washes as spot of the match as well. Finishes number 1, face washes number 2. Koguma wins somehow with this like genius pin. Koguma's entire body on Starlight Kid's like legs. This gets her team the win, and I guess they advance in whatever this is. So after this is, I think, the most disappointing match of the night, and this is also be the quickest one that I'll review, because here we have God's Eye with Ami Sourei and Syuri and Konami versus Queen's Quest with Azumi, Lady C, and Utami Hayashishira. And yeah, we have like 2 former world champions and then like a lot of highly touted prospects as well, but this one was basically like a New Japan match where the dudes would wear their merch shirts. Like, there was like no urgency here, no importance. People were just tagged in and then tagged out. They did their stuff. But here there's no like focus between 2 specific wrestlers. Like hell, the stakes were higher in the last match. We didn't even see like the full breadth of their movesets or like just like anything they do special. I almost fell asleep here. This was like the worst match of the card. I'm so disappointed, especially with who's involved. TV undercard. Like, I would rather watch any WWE match than this. Like, the match itself, devoid of the story. I'm not insulting WWE stories, just their matches, if you like taking in a vacuum. And yeah, that's kind of like what this is worse than. It's like a normal throwaway multi-man match. Yeah, we have like a submission finish and that's it. Nothing special here. So after this is Chihiro Hashimoto against Mirai. So I was mistaken about Ida a while ago. She's not the Jordan Grace of Japan because Chihiro Hashimoto definitely is. Big wrestler with a power moveset, jacked and then thick as well. This is the first like proper singles match of the night. And because of the lack of subtitles, I didn't catch what was going on in the feud. Apparently, Mirai is just like this roadblock for Chihiro. And the true target is Shuri. And it's like she's just goading Shuri, beating a bunch of mid-carders that I think Shuri has grown to care about in her time at Stardom. It's alright. It's like a weird sort of unusual type of way to do a feud where the heel willingly goes through opponents to get to the babyface, even if it doesn't have to happen. Like, this is like reverse JAS. Like, this is how you build a monster heel. Like, even if I don't think those are Shuri's faction members, yes, still. Shuri's still one of the people, like, on the sides who are, like, helping around with matches. Since apparently in Joshi Promotions, everyone helps on the side. But for the match itself, it's an underdog struggle by Mirai, who gets, manhandled. And the match is more of her, like, struggle. Her desperation to do anything. Whether it's her trying to escape a rest hold, being slammed all over the place, just her, like, having her grapples being swiped away by the superior, like, Olympic-level wrestler. Facial selling is really good, and I've never been more invested in, like, this wristwatch exchange. Like, wristwatch and, like, hammerlock exchange ever before. First 4 minutes was just straight-up wrestling. But with Hashimoto in command, like, through most of it, like about 90%. She looks like a Kurt Angle. And then you can feel Mirai struggle throughout the match. It's like she was the main character, more than the one being focused on in the feud with Shuri. So yeah, her fighting spirit shines on, but she just gets, like, still annihilated. She manages to do some offense, and it makes sense that she has to do more to hurt this behemoth than what the behemoth has to do to her. And as for Chihiro Hashimoto, how the hell is she not, like, anywhere near the top of the card? I guess she's, like, getting there, but apparently she's working for a company called Sendai Girls. Maybe not getting a push because of, like, some drug charges, but she's, like, multiple-time champion there. And yeah, it would be nice to see her challenge Julia. I don't know about winning the title, though. But definitely a match against, like, the former champion will get her noticed. Win or loss. So top 3 spots of the match is the Big Lariat by Mirai. Next is the Olympic Slam by Mirai. And then number 1 is the Guillotine that's first applied by Mirai, but then it's countered to a suplex by this beast in Hashimoto. So yeah, maybe I'm going to change it up a bit. Maybe move everything up. Remove the 3rd spot in the match and then replace number 1 spot with what happens in the climax where Mirai gets killed by German suplexes, and then the last one is like she just gets launched up in the air and then she lands on her neck down. Bit dangerous, but it looks so cool. Like, I think this is what AEW needs in its women's division. Like an actual good grappler. Actually, even in the WWE, we don't have someone like this in the women's division, like a Kurt Angle or like an early Brock Lesnar. I would love for her to beat everyone except Jamie Hayter. Jamie somehow wins, so maybe rent her out for just like a month. But yeah, as for the finish, the finish is Chihiro with a German suplex that's bridging for the win. Pay-per-view undercard. I don't think they did enough. If this match was longer and like maybe we got to see like some more control by Mirai, like she actually succeeds, like almost gets the win, that would be nice. Like have the ref's hand be like a couple of CMs from the floor and then kick out. That's gonna put Mirai over so hard. But here it was like pretty much just a domination. An awesome domination, but not worth putting in the main event. Main events need to be like evenly matched affairs. So I'm so excited between her match against Shuri, who she calls out after the match. After trashing on Mirai, she calls out Shuri. There's like a face-to-face. So I guess Chihiro is an outsider show-off who wants to hurt the roster as she like challenges the former champion. Like, why not challenge Julia instead? Like, maybe if she wins, that might be her next like destination. But as of now, I think Shuri's gonna kick her ass. Like, as an outsider against someone as high up in the card as Shuri, yeah, I'm like guessing Shuri wins. But they delay the match for like one more event. Chihiro wants to show off even more, so I guess that's it then. And then hopefully we won't get any more like wasted Shuri matches. Like just like multi-mans. No instant gratification here. So after this is the Goddesses of Stardom Championship match. It's their tag team championship. So we have the champions Nanae Takanashi, Filipino pun intended because she does look like a mother, and Yu. They're called the Neo Stardom Army versus Donna Del Mundo in Himeka and Maika. So yeah, this match is the biggest storyline match of the card. This is the one with its selling being the most important. Because for this match, like the main point of it is that Himeka has an injury in a previous show. And it's like hurt in this match like very early on. Like the heels damage it. Himeka rolls out of the ring and then she sells it like it's real. Like they give her water and stuff. The doctors check. The heels take a break. It's like it's a shoot. Like the only thing missing is like the X sign. We get like a good like 2 to 3 minutes of this. They sold it so well that I thought it was real. And it was only confirmed that it wasn't when they started working on Himeka's leg. So yeah, of course, as smart heels work on the leg. But then she's tagged out by her teammate, Maika, who, because she has no teammate, has to fend off both the heels. The heels who just can't stay in their corners. Like, this is Japanese tag team wrestling. Like, rules should be adhered to more, especially by like a bunch of veterans. Like, just small thing that happens and then Nanae Takahashi like immediately comes in. It gets a bit annoying. So she manages to hold off the heels in like a 60-40 situation. Her being the 40. Yeah, I think it's like 40-60. That's how you should say it. But it was... She manages to get it evenly matched, but like it's like an effort for her to do it. And she sells this well. There's no tag team partner, so there's no relief. But she just like tries to prolong the match as long as she can. And I think this is like a cool story that we don't get a lot. Like for me, if I see my tag team partner go down, like I would think we're fucked. Like especially if they play it that real. If they play the injury like it's a shoot that much. But then maybe adrenaline or just like toughness, Himeka manages to like get back up in the corner, gets tagged in, and doesn't really get a hot tag. Leg is consistently sold. But the same thing, it's like just prolonging, just like stalling until something happens. It's like she's only there, like she was tagged in, expecting a hot tag just to hold off her opponents. This was so good. They went for some cool moves, some splashes, a cannonball. A lot of sidewalk slams, by the way. Like Nanae Takahashi's finisher is also a sidewalk slam. But like everyone just does sidewalk slams here. The Tower of Doom, which is like a mid spot, is made better with the selling. Yeah. Adrenaline, the toughness, and the power of friendship is what carried Himeka. Climax is this storyline moment where Himeka goes for a powerbomb but then falls down, like sells it. And we get it again and then she finally hits it. And at this point, we just want them to win. So for the top spots of the match, number 3 is this sidewalk slam by Maiku. Number 2 is the crucifix bomb. And then number 1 is the power bomb, like the failed one and then the one that she did successfully. The finish is the babyfaces run out of gas. They get double flying splashed by the heels, and it just looks like they have nothing left. Heels were dragging corpses at this point. Nanae kicks out of like a last-ditch pin, but then she hits her sidewalk slam finisher for the win. Great fucking match. This is like pay-per-view main event. This just confirms it. This women's division or this like whole roster is better than any women's division in any company or like any company made out of like all women. Stardom is the best. Like, where else does this happen? Like, so consistently, where everyone in the division can work, even like the old wrestlers. And you know what? I like the booking decision of having the heels win, because having them lose against someone with just one leg is just a burial for that team. And yeah, I fully support this decision. So after this is the World of Stardom Championship between Saya Kamitani against Momo Watanabe. So, controversial opinion, but I don't like the design of the Wonder of Stardom Championship. It's like the WWE Championship and the Universal Championship. But in this case, both titles are not on the same level. If they were, that would be okay. But as the secondary title, it needs to look different. It needs to look distinct and not just like a copy-paste recolor. Or like at least change the plates. Or have the star look more intimidating. So for this match, I like the start. They tried to end each other right away. They like tried to one-hit each other with a bunch of head kicks. It was also hard-hitting. Maybe the most hard-hitting of the entire night. It's different from all of the other matches. It's main event paced. But rules are broken pretty blatantly. Like the ref doesn't even try. It's like in a wrestling empire where everything outside the ring is legal. And I'm seeing that this is like the usual explanation of things, but they don't do that in the main event. Or like at least make it clear that this is no DQ. The feud has reached that stage to make it no DQ. Like with Kenny and Ospreay, the weapons aren't directly used, but here like weapons are directly used. There's a bat shot, there's a briefcase thrown to someone doing like a springboard move to the outside. That was sick. I've never seen this before. It's a fucking dangerous spot, but make it clear. I like that the match is a back and forth. The Bronco Buster or the groin attack is one of my pet peeves. It's a terrible move even if X-Pac does it or Rey Mysterio does it. In women, I guess, it makes much more sense. You're putting yourself in less danger. But just get rid of the groin attack. But yeah, back to the point about the DQs. Maybe I understand if the champion starts cheating. Maybe have that as like a champion's advantage. Or as a referee. As a like babyface referee. Which all referees should be. Like if I was a babyface referee, not DQing the champion, like not giving the champion like an easy way out, would be a nice explanation for that. Since as long as the match doesn't end, no matter how much cheating the champion does, the babyface has a chance. You can also have the ref like break it up or something to stop the heel's momentum. Like I wouldn't be worrying about this too much in like other matches as long as it's like properly protected. But here it just happens for too long a time. So I was starting to give out spots of the match awards, if that's a thing, but they botch a lot at the second half of the match. Like after a double foot stomp, the table doesn't break. It looks like Taya just slid off of Momo. They were trying to do like a Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, but they just didn't manage to do it. Like not even close. And the faction members just fighting outside is a bit distracting. And like just when you need someone to like hold the table for you, that faction wins out and then they hold the table. A lot of moves don't properly connect and they just start getting tired. They lost me completely by the end. Like this happens especially in the bomb phase. It's the most important part of the matches, the climaxes, and they like failed. There is one moment where the match could have been saved, but Saya goes for like a bulldog counter and then they fail to do the move. This was sad. The climax, even though like too little and too late, we got some nice convincing stiff shots by Saya, some convincing boots and slaps. The big moves are done and like spaced pretty far from each other. Like the transition to each other can't be felt. It just feels like, oh, let's wait for a number of minutes and then let's do this other move. There's no like connective tissue between them. And to top it off, we have a poorly hit shooting star press for the win. This is a TV main event. This was a bad match. They just didn't click and it might be the nerves, I don't know. So after this, I was in a downer going into the main event. I was worried that the main event would have this same problem right here, but thankfully they don't. And they have the best match of the night. And the main event is Giulia versus Suzu Suzuki for the World of Stardom Championship. Suzu Suzuki has an amazing name, by the way, and then this might be blasphemous to put their names on the same like sentence, but Julia kind of reminds me of Eva Marie. Like in appearance. Or maybe it's just the hair and the tan. But they couldn't be like so far apart in terms of skill in the ring. Julia also moves better. Like her default stance isn't that of a model. It's of a fighter. And like just Julia's appearance. It's like more Western. She's like a mix Italian, I think British too, and Japanese. Truly a worldwide level star. And my god, does she look like one. Very lengthy. She has the look. And just the performance is there. She doesn't like jump around like Mayu Iwatani, but she can take and execute those moves if needed. And most importantly, she can do her arsenal really well. The arsenal is a bit underwhelming though. I ended up liking Suzu Suzuki's moves more. But yeah, Julia is like a more power wrestler. So the match starts as any world title match. And most importantly, any world title match in Japan. It's real slow to start. A lot of like opening match wrestling. It's slow and plodding to pad out the time, but it's never boring. I like that both have injured right arms, but they don't work on it right away. Suzu takes the match outside, and when they return, Julia gains control and then works on Suzu's arm. Selling isn't that consistent from Suzu. She like lands on her right arm a lot. She does moves that make her land on her right arm. It touches the ground a lot. Like pressure is put on it a lot and then she forgets to sell. But it's okay. These are like main event wrestlers, super women. But I would have preferred if there was like at least like some shaking of the hands, shaking of the arms, like and like some stretching or something. But then the selling starts when Julia removes the wrap around the arm and then she sells. Finally on offense. So this goes on for a while until we get like what's supposed to be a top spot in the match, but the camera angle ruins it. Or like just the direction of how this was done was pretty much ruined because they do a pile driver spot on the apron, but like they're facing the camera. They're facing the ramp area instead of like being parallel to the apron. They're perpendicular to the apron. And you can see clearly that Suzu's head does not even like grace the apron itself. It's like when Rush does pile drivers. And I get that this isn't real and you're trying to protect your opponent, but like make it look better or hide the actual work even better. Parallel to the rope and the apron is the way to do it. Just like everywhere. But they make it up with the actual top 3 spot. And it's an avalanche half Nelson suplex in where Julia lands on her arm instead of like her neck or her back. Number 2 spot is this finisher worthy move. It looks like Kofi Kingston's SOS. So Suzu has Julia in like a cross position. She holds Julia's right arm and leg while Julia is like facing on the floor, bent over, like standing on her left leg, left arm free. And then they do like an SOS motion, pinfall kick out. And you know what, like after thinking about it even more, maybe move up both. So the last 2 spots in the match are like 3 and 4. Number 2 instead is an avalanche German suplex. But this is number 2 because Julia has to position herself to be bridged. If they kept it bridging, which is like a lot more dangerous, this would have been like number 1. But number 1 spot is like a bridged German suplex where Suzu maintains waist control. She like flips over and then does another one. It's like when Japanese wrestlers do like the rolling sort of German suplex. It's like what Konosuke Takeshita does. I forget who else does it. I think Nakamura or something. But yeah, the rolling German suplex. But this time it's like 2 successive ones. And all of these moves make the finish a bit underwhelming. Like Suzu single-handedly ruined the finisher sequences, which was Julia doing a pile driver and then a brain buster and then winning the match. Just because of how awesome the moves she pulled were. They paled very much in comparison, but Julia's a great wrestler. It takes 2 to do those moves, and she took them like a champ. I just can't believe that like she didn't end the match like in a more like banger sort of way. Maybe a burning hammer instead. But yeah, either way, pay-per-view main event. It's like number 2 match of the year, next to Ospreay versus Omega. And because of this, I'm going to hold on to my Stardom membership. It's like the female New Japan with a lot more effort. I made a Reddit post about that, so people from Reddit, from the Stardom subreddit, welcome to the review. So yeah, post-match is a handshake, and like not just the New Japan sort of exit promo. We actually have a back and forth. We have storytelling here. There's like a back and forth conversation between the two. And to sum it up, like the best way to sum it up is it's like an anime feud. Like, oh, you're my little sister, Kohai. I can't wait to face you again. Train harder. And then like Suzu replies, yes, I will never give up. I will train harder to beat you. It's like totally anime. It's like Kaba and Vegeta. It's like Guth and Griffith from the Golden Age arc. And what other examples can I give? It's like Gon and Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter. So after this, Julia cuts the ending promo where she announces the end of the pandemic, the cultural end. The biological end is nowhere in sight yet. No matter how much people want to believe that. But yeah, arrivederci, matana. End of the show. What a great fucking pay-per-view, and I should have bought it, but I didn't quite know what to expect. Nice that it's uploaded 5 days after though. I just don't trust like that pay-per-view site. I would have preferred to buy it from Stardom World. But yeah, very very good night of wrestling. This is a very late review, but I will be doing Stardom reviews in the future. I hope people still watch this. Next review is the Tokyo Joshi Pro Show, the finals of that tournament, and of course, weekly AEW Dynamite.